Shaktitvayam hi Mayaya Vikshepavritirupakam Vikshepa Shaktirlingadi Brahmandantam Jagat Srijet Srishtir Nama Brahmarupe Satchidananda Vastuni Abdhau Venadivat Sarva Nama Rupa Prasarana. We saw last time that the power called Maya is responsible for projecting Brahman as this universe. We saw last time that Maya has two powers. Maya has two powers or two functions. The two powers are the power of veiling and the power of projecting. First, we consider the power of projecting, Vikshepa Shakti. The second one was the power of veiling, Avarana Shakti. And I mentioned last time that there is nothing very mysterious about this, nothing very metaphysical about this. It is what happens every time we make an error. Every time we commit a mistake, there are two things at play. One is, we do not know the truth. And the second one is, we take the reality for something else. Consider, when we mistake a rope for a snake, the classic Vedantic example, two things are at play. One, ignorance. We are unaware that it is a rope. That's number one. And number two, we now mistake that rope for a snake. So there is ignorance and there is error. We do not know the reality of the rope, and we make a mistake. We think we imagine it to be, and we actually feel that we are seeing a snake. And what they are claiming here is exactly the same thing is happening. Brahman alone exists, God alone exists, and we make a mistake. We first of all are unaware of that, though we may read about it, we may hear about it, we may even believe it, we may have faith, but still we do not know it. We have not realized it. It's not a living reality for us. So this is the ignorance part of it. And the other part of it is error. Not knowing the reality, not knowing God, not knowing Brahman, we now make a mistake. What's the mistake? The mistake is we see this world. We experience what we are experiencing right now. So it is the power of Maya which projects this universe. When it projects the universe, it projects two kinds of things. Two kinds of creation are there. One is called gross matter. The other one is called subtle matter. Gross and subtle. Sthula, Sukshma. Gross matter, what we see all around us, what we experience in this world. And what is this subtle matter? That which out of which our subtle bodies are created. What is the subtle body? The subtle body is not a very slim body. I don't know if I should say this. I was in Kansas, and I was then again in St. Louis, and somebody told me, look, we are all very ordinary folk here, not like your fancy California people. We like our food, and you will see a lot of us are overweight, and we are not ashamed of it, unlike your fancy California folk, you know. So that's not a subtle body. The subtle body is what we feel inside us right now. Our thoughts, our memories, our emotions. That's called the mind. Our knowledge, understanding, identification, sense of agency, that's called the buddhi, the intellect. And the life forces surging through our body. We breathe, our blood circulates, we assimilate, we are hungry, we eat food and assimilate food and turn it into the physical matter of this body. So those life forces are also part of our subtle body. Technically speaking, the subtle body, which the word used here is linga sharira. Subtle body, another name is Suksma Sharira. Sharira means body, Sukshma means subtle, so subtle body. Technically speaking, the subtle body has three components. I just mention it because it's an introduction to Vedanta course, so we should know the terms. The subtle body has three components. One is the Pranamaya kosha, the sheath of the vital forces, Pranamaya. Prana means vital forces. That's life. So life is part of the subtle body. The second one is Manomaya kosha, the mind. It includes thoughts, emotions, memories, everything, even the sense of ego, I, it's mind. And the third part is the Vijnanamaya kosha, the sheath of understanding or intellect, knowledge, understanding. So these are the components of the subtle body, and they are created by the power of Maya. Maya creates both gross bodies, not just the physical bodies, but the entire universe, planets, the earth and the oceans and the air and stars and galaxies and atoms and quarks, and all of that, the gross matter is created by Maya, the projecting power of Maya. And the other thing that it creates is the subtle matter, out of which our subtle bodies are created. Now what happens is this. This gross matter, which we see all around us, it exists. And it borrows existence from Brahman. I'm going somewhere with this, so you must follow me carefully. It borrows existence from Brahman. What borrows existence from Brahman? This universe. What do you mean by borrowing existence? Nothing fancy, nothing very, very difficult. What I mean is simply like if I say, this table borrows existence from the wood. The waves in the ocean out there, they borrow their existence from the water. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, the existence of the wood is the existence of this table. If the wood were not here, the table wouldn't be here. If the water was not there, the waves wouldn't be there. So, though we call it a table, in reality, the existence of the wood is the existence of the table. You weigh the wood, it will be the weight of the table. You make the wood into a table, it will not weigh 1 gram more, 1 pound more. So what is real here is the wood. What is real in the wave is the water. What is real in the ornament is the gold. So the ornament gets its existence from the gold, the wave from water, and the table from wood. In the same way, there is something called Brahman from which this entire world we experience derives its existence. So the world of gross matter borrows existence from Brahman. The technical term is Sat, pure existence, Brahman. And the world here has got derived existence, borrowed existence. 1 point. The world borrows existence from Brahman. The existence of the world is the existence of Brahman. The second point I would like to make here is, the subtle body, our minds, intellects, and the life forces within us, they also exist. Of course our minds exist. Of course our life exists, so we live, that's why. So their existence is also borrowed from Brahman. But they also borrow consciousness from Brahman. Here is a point something I want to point out, that there is something special about the subtle bodies. They borrow consciousness from Brahman, not only existence. So not only are our minds existing, not only do our thoughts exist, our emotions exist, our perceptions exist, memories exist, our egotism, not only does it exist, it borrows existence from Brahman, but it also, we experience it as conscious, aware, sentient. So, to repeat again, everything borrows existence from Brahman. Everything appears to exist because of Brahman. And among everything that exists, There is a special category of things which exist called subtle bodies, our minds, which borrow not only existence but consciousness from Brahman. So the Sat, the existence aspect of Brahman, is reflected everywhere as the existence of this universe. The Chit, the consciousness aspect of Brahman, is reflected as the borrowed consciousness, as the consciousness we feel just now. Where do we feel it? When you're looking at me, you feel conscious. It's a conscious act of looking. When you hear, it's conscious. When you think, it's conscious. So this consciousness is borrowed from Brahman. This is the point I want to make before we go into the next verse. Let me introduce a couple of terms here, technical terms. The terms are Pramata, Prameya. Pramata means knower. Pramata is a Sanskrit word meaning knower. And Prameya is a Sanskrit word meaning known, that which is known. That which is known. Why have I introduced these terms? Because of these reasons. Thank you, Mataji. The consciousness within us, in our minds. I'll give you an example. Why is it that, what do I mean by borrowing consciousness? You see, this entire world, let me give you the example of reflecting sunlight. This entire world, the physical world out there in daytime, you'll find every surface reflects sunlight. But only there are some special surfaces, like the surface of glass or a polished steel plate or a pool, which not only reflects sunlight, but also forms a little image of a sun. You will find in a water droplet, in water or in glass, you will find a reflection. Not only does it reflect sunlight, but an image of the sun is formed there. In the same way, entire universe borrows existence from Brahman, and our minds borrow existence plus consciousness. A little image of consciousness is formed in our minds. That's what illumines our minds right now, the experience which we are having. So now, our minds become knowers. Pramata. Pramata, knower. Prameya, known. Our minds become knowers. The consciousness in our minds is utilized to see, to hear, to smell, to touch, to think, to remember, to understand. So we become knowers. Our minds become knowers, Pramata, utilizing the consciousness borrowed from Brahman. And the entire external world, the world which we experience, it borrows only existence from Brahman, not consciousness. So these things are not knowers. They are known. Prameyam. Prameyam. Two categories of things, knower and known. Pramata, Prameya. Pramata, we. You are a Pramata. He is a Pramata. She is a Pramata. I am a Pramata. What is happening here? Pure consciousness, the Sakshi, the witness which we talked about so far in our class, which we isolated with the help of Drig Drishya Viveka. That pure consciousness reflected in the mind gives rise to the mind, a conscious mind, which borrows consciousness from Sakshi or Brahman, the same thing, and becomes a knower. And the world becomes the known. So we are knowers and the world is the known. With this background, let us proceed. 15th verse. Antardrigdrishyayor bhedam Bahishcha brahma sargayo Avrinotya Shakti Sa samsarasya karanam. Right. Now we are in a position to understand this. What has happened is the projecting power of Maya projects Brahman as the external world, and projects us, the witness within, as the knower. The world is projected upon Brahman, and Brahman appears to us because of Maya as Prameyam, the known, these names and forms. And we appear as Pramata. Brahman within, the Sakshi, pure consciousness within, appears as Pramata, the knower. And what happens is, the distinction between the name and form world, the Prameyam, and its reality, which is Brahman, that distinction is obscured. It's not clear. What we see is a world of knowables. There are things to be known and experienced in the world. Brahman is nowhere in sight. And when we look at ourselves, what we see is a Pramata, a knower, an experiencer, an individual experiencing things in the world. And the witness, the drashta, which we had spoken about so far till today, that is nowhere in sight. So what has happened is, now the veiling power of Maya comes into play. Brahman, which is projected as Prameyam, the knowable universe. The knowable universe and Brahman, which is the reality behind the knowable universe. The difference between the two is obscured, and it appears as only the universe. And within, what happens is, pure consciousness reflected on the subtle matter, the subtle bodies, our minds, intellects, the living, the life forces. Pure consciousness reflected in our minds, the Pramata. Now, the Pramata and the pure consciousness, the witness and the Pramata, the difference between the two are obscured, and what we see only, we experience ourselves only as Pramata. The witness in itself is nowhere in sight. That is what this verse is telling us. Inside us, I, the pure consciousness, am obscured. It's not that I'm not there. I am there, but it's not distinct, it's not clear. What appears to me is an individual who is a knower, an experiencer, a person who knows things, does things, experiences things, is happy or sad, a limited individual. And outside in the world, which is veritably Brahman itself, existence, consciousness, bliss, Maya, the projecting power of Maya, has pulled a network of names and forms over it. And those names and forms have derived existence from Brahman, just as this table derives existence from the wood. And the names and forms and the Brahman, the existence, pure existence, which is the ground of those names and forms, the distinction between the two has been obscured by the obscuring power of Maya, Avarana Shakti. As a result, what we see is an existing universe. Existence belongs to Brahman. Universe is just name and form, but we do not see it separately. We see an existing universe out there. Consciousness belongs to you or me as the witness, as the pure consciousness. And that is projected as a subtle body by the projecting power of Maya. But we do not experience ourselves like that. What we experience ourselves as is a conscious mind. Consciousness, witness. Mind, subtle body. But we do not experience that way. We experience as a conscious mind. So the distinction between the knower, Pramata, and Sakshi, witness, insight. The distinction between Brahman and the world of names and forms, this distinction is obscured by the power of Maya. I know what some people have a quizzical expression in their face, and the question might be, isn't it that the Brahman is obscured by Maya? No. Brahman cannot be hidden. Brahman cannot be hidden. The difference between Brahman and the world outside is obscured by Maya. The difference between Brahman or Sakshi inside and the mind is obscured by Maya. It's like when we see the snake by mistake, is the rope obscured or not? Is the rope hidden or not? Well, actually speaking, the rope is not hidden. It is the rope that we are seeing. And in some aspects of the snake, the rope is quite evident. The shape of the snake, the length of the snake, it belongs to the rope. But the species of the snake and the poison of the snake, they belong entirely to the projected snake. It's not there at all. So it's mixed up. What we see is a mixed up reality. In the same way, we see a mixed up reality. More of this later on. It will come later. If it's a mixed up reality, can we separate Brahman in our experience from the world. We are experiencing the world here. Can we separate God and the world in our experience? Outside and inside, within us. Can we do that? They will say yes, and they will show us how to do it. This is just setting this stage. Now, one more point. The obscuring power of Maya, Avarana Shakti, is the cause of all our problems. You would think that the projecting power is the cause of our problems. The projecting power is not the cause of our problems. Brahman is projected as this world, no problem. Brahman is projected as body and mind, no problem. The real problem is the veiling power by which we lose sight of the fact that we are existence, consciousness, bliss. Sri Ramakrishna says that some call this world a fraud and a deceit, an illusion, a fraud and a deceit. And he says, I call it a mansion of delight. Mojar kuti. Sri Ramakrishna uses the word moja. Moja is a Bengali word. It means fun, but a kind of a very intense, elevated fun. That's what Sri Ramakrishna means, at least. I remember more than a decade ago, one of the most brilliant living Indian philosophers today, Arindam Chakravarti, who works in University of Hawaii. He gave a whole talk, more than an hour, on this word, Sri Ramakrishna's use of the word moja. Moja means fun, but a kind of holy fun, a kind of sacred fun. So Sri Ramakrishna says, the world is mojar kuti, a mansion of delight. When is it a mansion of delight? When you realize the truth. When you realize that you are existence, consciousness, bliss. When you realize that you are Brahman. When you realize that the world is Brahman. When you realize outside it is all Brahman. When you realize inside you are Brahman. When you realize this, then it becomes a mansion of delight. Otherwise, it's a horror story. Otherwise, the question will arise, if God exists, why is there so much suffering? Every religion has to answer this question. It's called the problem of evil. Anybody who comes to religion will very quickly first ask this question. So if all this is true, why is there so much suffering in the world? And it's true, as long as we are in this framework of Maya, the veiling power is active. This world appears to be horrible. So much suffering, inexplicable. So, when we have that spiritual insight, I remember one of the devotees to whose house Sri Ramakrishna had gone, he was asking again and again, why is there so much suffering in the world? Why is there so much suffering in the world? And Sri Ramakrishna gives one explanation after another, and none of them seem to satisfy the devotee. He says, first of all, it is the Lord's wish, can we understand? It's God's wish, can we understand? And the devotee is not satisfied. Then Sri Ramakrishna trots out one more theory, one more explanation. He says, it is his Leela, it is the play of the Lord, the Leela, divine play of the Lord. And the devotee now is mad. He says, in Bengali, Tar to Leela, Ramra Mori. It is his play, but we are dying, it's death for us. We suffer. It's like the little kid, the neighbor's kid, who hits a baseball into a yard and shatters your lawn light or something. And if you catch that little guy, he says, it's my Leela, it's my play, That is not going to cut any ice with you. In the same way, if God says death and disease and injustice and so many horrible things in this world, it's just my play. Well, we are not very happy with that explanation. So the devotee says to Sri Ramakrishna, it's his play, but it is death for us. And Sri Ramakrishna then gives this answer, which is very interesting. He says just two words for which the devotee has no comeback. He says, Ar tumi ke, who are you? It's death for us, he says. And Sri Ramakrishna comes back with, and who are you? Who are you? Do you really know who you are? It's like we are in Hollywood. So, as an example which I gave, that there is so much horror in the movies, there are massacres and terrorism and violence and so many horrible things which are shown in the movies. And instead of being horrified by all that, instead of being disturbed by all that, you enjoy it. And you give those guys an Oscar. Because you know the reality. You know the reality. First of all, you are completely safe. We are all safe from the horror on the screen. It's not real. And you know the reality behind it. Then that horror becomes something that you can actually even enjoy. So it's realizing God, the Avarana Shakti, the power which hides God from our sights. That is the cause of all our problems. Now if you look at the verse, it will be clear. Antardrigdrishyayor bhedam bahishcha brahma sargayo. What does it mean? Inside us, the difference between the witness and the knower. Pramata. Technical meaning of pramata, the consciousness reflected in the mind becomes a knower. Pramata. The difference between the witness and the pramata, obscured by the obscuring power of Maya. Externally, bahishcha, externally, in the world outside, the difference between Brahman, pure existence, and the world of names and forms which borrows existence from that pure existence. The difference between the two is obscured by the obscuring power of Maya. Avrinoti Avarana Shakti. The second power of Maya, the other power of Maya, which is the obscuring power, Avrinoti, hides, obscures. And then he says the crucial point, Sa samsarasya karanam. That particular power of Maya is the cause of our samsara. All our problems stem from that obscuration of our truth, of what we are actually, of what we are and what the world is. What are we? The pure, unchanging, immortal consciousness. As Shankaracharya sings, Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. I am existence, consciousness, bliss. I am Shiva, I am Shiva. Not just Shankara, all of us, all the time, we are. We do not become existence, consciousness, bliss after enlightenment. We are that right now. All of us. It's just obscured from us. And what is this world? It is veritably God himself, Brahman, obscured from our sight by the power of Maya, by the veiling power of Maya. Now what happens? 16. Sakshina purato bhati lingam dehena sanyutam chitichhaya samaveshat jivasyadvyavarika. The witness consciousness. What shines in front of the witness consciousness in close proximity? The subtle body, the mind, intellect, memory that comes up. As we wake up in the morning, as we come into the waking state, what appears? First, our mind, with all the memories, with all our identity and our problems. It all comes up. And we are aware, okay, I have to get ready and go to office or some place, or grab that cup of coffee or whatever. And all of that comes from the mind. So in front of the Sakshi, in close proximity to us, the pure consciousness, shines the mind. And the mind is connected with the body. You see, all the states, the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, do not belong to the witness consciousness. They belong to the mind. If you remember, a few verses back we read the explanation of the three states we experience. What is this waking? What is this dreaming? What is this deep sleep? It is the mind which is, when it's fully active, we experience waking. When the mind goes into a drowsy, semi-active state, we dream. And when the mind shuts down temporarily, we have deep sleep. So deep sleep, dream, and waking belong to the mind, not to you, the pure consciousness. The pure consciousness just illumines the three states, the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. And when the mind comes up in front of pure consciousness, What does the subtle body do? As I said earlier, it borrows consciousness. Pure consciousness is reflected in the mind. The mind gets consciousness. And he says the mind is connected, the subtle body is connected to the gross body. So it transfers consciousness to the gross body. And we feel up to the fingertips that we are conscious beings. Here we are. So we become identified, consciousness becomes identified with the mind first, and through the mind, through the nervous system, the entire physical body. And we feel consciousness spreading up to the tips of our fingers, as Upanishad says, anakagrat, up to the tips of our nails. We feel that we exist. This is who I am. Now we can understand this verse. Sakshinah purato bhati. In close proximity to the witness consciousness, bhati shines. What shines? Lingam. Lingam here means Suksma Shariram, the subtle body. And the subtle body is connected to our gross body. So the gross body with the subtle body, the subtle body with the gross body attached to it shines. Why do we say shines? It shines in your light, in the light of pure consciousness. Then what happens? Chiti chaya samaveshat. You, the pure consciousness, you are reflected in the mind. The mind which is material, subtle matter, nevertheless it's material. It gets illumined, it shines, becomes live. Like a machine becomes live when electricity flows through it. It becomes live when you are reflected. You, the pure consciousness, you are reflected in the mind. And then what happens? Jiva syad vyavaharika. The transactional individual is thus born. Transactional individual, the one who deals with this world. At that moment when we wake up, just today when I was coming, I just came from St. Louis in the morning today, and the monk who dropped me off at the airport, we're just talking about the experience we have of a simple eye. Sometimes we have this experience when we suddenly wake up. Maybe from deep sleep, we suddenly wake up, and for a moment we do not know where we are. We do not even know for a moment who we are. Where we are, what time is it? Is it a day? Is it night? Is it afternoon? What exactly are we? Who are we? The famous French writer Marcel Proust, he had a way with words, of course, so he puts it so beautifully that sometimes we wake up in a panic and our identity, memories, they seem to be just out of our reach. We know we are somebody, but exactly who we are for a moment or two, it's out of our reach. He says, he describes it beautifully, like a circle of fire around us. And very quickly it descends upon us and we know, all right, I am so and so, this is morning or evening, I've woken up, this is my identity, I have got these things to do. These are things which I want to achieve, these are my problems, this is my identity. So this is called a vyavaharika jiva, transactional individual. So this is how the transactional individual is born. The I sense in the transactional individual, it refers to the body and mind, and we get identified with that I sense. The consciousness, pure consciousness gets identified with the I sense. And that's how we feel, I am Swami Sarvapriyananda, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so. That's what's going to happen next. 17th. Asya jivattvamaropat sakshinyapyavabhasate avritau tu vinashtayam Bhede bhate apayati tat. Bhede bhate apayati tat. Now, this individual which is thus created, what is this individual? You, the pure consciousness. And remember, when I say you, the pure consciousness, I'm not making any wild claim. It's exact, I'm just repeating the first verse which we did. Drigdrishya Viveka, the first verse. How we saw that we are the witness of the body and mind. That pure consciousness reflected in the mind makes the mind and the body a pramata, a knower, Another name for this Pramata, the knower, is Jiva, the individual being. Who is this individual being? You, me, right now, what we think ourselves to be. And now the remarkable thing that happens is, this individual being is superimposed, it covers up, we misidentify it with the pure consciousness. What we are, existence, consciousness, bliss, that is obscured, and this little individual who comes up in front of pure consciousness, as if pure consciousness has forgotten itself and becomes limited to, identified with that little individual. And now says, I am Swami Sarvapriyananda. The Jiva is technically speaking, the Jiva is superimposed upon pure consciousness. What is superimposed? It's the error, mistaking the rope for a snake. Mistaking the rope for a snake. We mistake ourselves, pure consciousness, for the Jiva who shines in front of pure consciousness, who shines in our light. So, Jivatvam. Jivatvam means individuality. Belongs to whom? The individual. The Pramata, the knower, the body-mind system. It belongs to that, individuality. That individuality is superimposed upon the infinitude which we are. The infinitude is forgotten, infinite consciousness, and the individual consciousness alone seems to be there. So he says, Asya Jivatvam, the individuality of that little creature, body-mind creature shining in your consciousness. Sakshini api avabhasate. The Sakshi, the witness. What is the true nature of the witness? Not individual, it is infinite, it is Brahman. The true nature of the witness, Sakshi, is Brahman. But now what is appearing there? Jivatvam, individuality. Not infinitude, Jivatvam. Not unlimitedness, limitedness. Entire limitedness belongs to the body. What is born? Body. What ages? What gets disease? The body. What has happiness or misery? The mind. All of that is now superimposed upon the light which is shining upon it, upon the infinite consciousness which we are. So Jivatvam is superimposed on the Sakshi. What is the true nature of Sakshi, the witness? Brahmatvam. Existence, consciousness, bliss. And what does it appear to be? Jiva, individual, the limited individual, destined to be born and to suffer and to struggle in life and to pass away without any resolution of this whole idea of life. You have a question? Yes.
Would the witness be able to exist if there was nothing to witness?
What we are saying here is just the opposite of that. We are saying that which is witnessed cannot exist without the witness. The witness would exist if there is nothing to be witnessed, it would just not be called a witness. It is like the light in this room illumines all of us. We are present here. But a little while ago we were not present here. It was still there. As long as we don't switch it off. When we leave this room, the light is no longer an illuminer in the sense that we are not there to be illumined. But is the light there or not? It's still there. Very much so. Exactly as it was earlier.
What would it be illuminating?
Nothing. It would be illumining the absence of the body and mind. The witness, when there are things to be witnessed, it's called a witness. And when there are things are not there, things are absent, it is the witness of the absence of things. It is the witness of the presence of things when in the waking state. It is the witness of presence of things when in the dream state. It is the witness of the absence of things when in the deep sleep state. It is the same witness. It's the same witness. Then would you say that it is a less of an existence because the whole world disappears? Well, as we are studying here, the entire world borrows its existence from the witness, from Brahman. Without the table, would the wood be less of wood? No. The other way around. Without the wood, the table wouldn't exist. Without the water, the wave wouldn't exist. Without the gold, the ornament wouldn't exist. The ornament, gold can exist in different forms. It can exist as an ornament, it can exist as a lump of gold or as a brick of gold. Water can exist as a calm ocean or an ocean in waves and surf and so on. That depends. The waves depend on the water, not the other way around. The external world, the world which we think to be real, out there, its reality depends on you. All our experiences, happy, sad, desirable, undesirable, all of it, the consciousness is borrowed from you. So, that's what they are saying. The individuality is superimposed upon the infinitude which we are. And this superimposition is called aropa, adhyaropa, or there is a word which I would like all of us to remember, adhyasa, superimposition, adhyasa. Adhyasa means superimposition. Superimposition is just a fancy way of saying an error, a mistake. A mistake. We superimpose a snake on the rope, or to put it very simply, we mistake the rope for a snake. It's an error. Why do we do that? Because we do not know the rope. And then we make a mistake. We do not know ourselves as infinite consciousness. And this little body and mind appears in front of us. And the mind borrows consciousness from us and appears to be conscious. And we think we are this conscious body and mind. This is what is being claimed here. And they will show us actually how we can experience this. Not today. You've got to keep coming. It'll come later. I just make a point and get back to you. And he says, Avritau tu vinashtayam bhede bhati apayati tat. This, in the limitation which we have imposed upon ourselves, that we are an individual being, how will it go? It will go only when we negate or destroy that obscuring power of Maya. The power which obscures the difference between the witness consciousness and the body-mind. When that becomes clear, then the limitation which we have imposed upon ourselves, that we are a little person destined to be born and to suffer and to die, that will go away. The individual limitation and suffering will go away. And that, how will that happen? Through knowledge. How do we get that knowledge? It will come. We have been discussing it, and it's going to come later. I wanted to make a remark on adhyasa, but I'll put that off for a little while. I'll respond to the question first. Yes.
The obscuring the mistakes that we can make with jiva. Why? Because of the veiling power.
Yes.
Why is there veiling power?
Yes.
And then the second question is that do animals also have this
Yes.
characterization? And if they do, they don't have the intellect and knowledge to
Yes.
remove the obscurity.
Yes. Right. Let me just respond to both of these. First of all, Shankaracharya would like to, or Advaita Vedanta would like us to see that we are consciousness, pure consciousness, existence. And yet we clearly feel ourselves to be limited bodies and minds. Then it would like us to see that this is because we are unable to distinguish the two. We are unable to distinguish the two. And therefore there must be something which is veiling, something which is obscuring the difference between the two. So that's the veiling power. Now, why is this there, if you ask? Let's go further. Why is Maya there at all? Brahman could have just been happy by itself. Existence, consciousness, bliss. Well, as I said earlier, the projecting power is not a problem. Brahman can freely appear as this world as long as it knows itself as Brahman, and so it's not hurt by this world. So the veiling power is the real problem. Why is it there? Now the answer to this is, first of all this that we are doing here is what might be called a pedagogy, a methodology of teaching which enables us to walk out of this problem. It is not meant to be a final answer to the question. Final answer cannot be provided at this level. What they say is, in Vedanta, they make a distinction between what is called Siddhanta and Prakriya. Siddhanta means conclusion, the fundamentals of the philosophy. And Prakriya means a teaching methodology, a pedagogy, a teaching methodology. So, what is the conclusion? Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss, without a second, alone exists. Alone is the reality. That's all, nothing more. And what about all this? Drig, Drishya, the seer and the seen, Pramata and Prameya and the veiling power and the obscuring power. It's all teaching you. Is it real? No. Ultimately, what is real? Only Brahman is real. So this is the standard position, but I'll give you a hint. There's not enough time to work it out. I'll tell you why this question cannot be answered. If you say, why does Maya exist at all? Why does this world appear? Why does this world exist? The answer will be, well, the world does not exist. It's Brahman mistaken as the world. Well, you can push the question further back, like kids do. Why? You can ask why for everything. And you can, actually. So suppose you ask, why? Why does it appear? Granted, okay, suppose the world is not real, it's Brahman, it's God or whatever you call it, and it is appearing as this nasty world. Well, why does it have to appear? If you ask. Then they say that it's because of Maya. Well, you can ask why. Why is there Maya at all? Why? Then they say that, well, this question cannot be answered within Maya. Well, I can still ask, why can't it be answered within Maya? Why can't it be answered within Maya? I'll tell you why. Just give you a hint why it cannot be answered. What is Maya? Maya is space-time causation. Now keep space and time apart for the time being. Look at causation. What is causation? Cause and effect. Cause and effect. Now when you ask why, anytime when we ask why, what are we asking for? Cause, exactly. Whenever we ask why, we are asking for a cause. Now, causation begins with Maya. So if you ask why, you're already assuming causation. You're already assuming Maya. And without Maya, there's no causation. You can't ask why. It may not be psychologically satisfying, but it's logically satisfying. All right. Now, one remark about adhyasa. Yeah, I'll come back to you. He just mentioned asya jivatvam aropat. The individuality is superimposed upon Sakshi, pure consciousness. Difference is obscure. When the veiling power is removed, the difference becomes clear. Now, this superimposition of the individuality upon the infinite consciousness which we are, this is called adhyasa. The technical word he has just touched upon it here. It's a very crucial concept in Advaita Vedanta. Adhyasa. It's exactly mistaking the rope for a snake. In terms like this is superimposing the snake on a rope. It's not, superimposition is not taking a real thing and putting it on another real thing. It's not taking a glass and putting it on the table. This is not superimposition. It's taking one real thing for something false. Shankaracharya calls it atasmin tad buddhi. What is not there, we see it there. We take it to be what it is not. We take something to be what it is not. We take the rope to be a snake which it is not. We take Brahman to be the world which it is not. We take the Brahman within us, the Sakshi, pure consciousness, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, to be this body and mind, Swami, so and so, which it is not. This is called adhyasa, superimposition. And this is a central idea in Advaita Vedanta. We will not have time to go into that, maybe in other courses. When, you see, Shankaracharya begins the Brahma Sutras, the core philosophical text of Vedanta. He begins the commentary on the Brahma Sutras. Shankaracharya begins the commentary on the Brahma Sutras with a very famous long sentence. Yushmadasmat pratyaya gocharayo vishaya vishaya. And we have to memorize it. And it is the classic statement of superimposition. One of the greatest philosophers I know, living philosophers, Indian philosophers whom I know, who is a master of both Indian philosophy and Western philosophy, who studied in Germany and mastered phenomenology, the philosophy of Husserl. This philosopher, he told me, Swami, in all the philosophical literature of the East and the West, I have not come across a more profound sentence than the opening sentence of the Brahma Sutra Bhashya of Shankaracharya. The first statement The first sentence of the Brahma Sutra. And don't go rushing off to read it. You'll be disappointed. It's dry and technical, and it requires a lot of explanation. So we will take it up if and when we take up Brahma Sutras. But this is just hinted here. How this infinite consciousness appears to be a limited body and mind. Just hinted here. All right, there's a question. Yes. Yeah. Right.
So you set up a duality in order to explain
a non-duality.
that is scary.
Yeah, a non-dual. Yeah. Right. Now I'm going to tell you some home truths, stunning if you get what I'm hinting at. And no problem if you don't get it. All right. First of all, I've already hinted that there are pedagogies. So, when Advaita Vedanta talks in dualistic terms about a borrower and something borrowed, you know that it's a pedagogy because ultimately it's leading you step by step to a non-duality which cannot be expressed in language. All right. Now, let's come to this experience part of it. I'm going to say a few things now. You mentioned a bhakta. You mentioned Sankhya philosophy. You mentioned experience. And this is what we are doing now. Let us clearly try to understand what they are proposing. What is the practice they are proposing? What practical step are they telling us about? This must be appreciated. Otherwise, it will seem to be a philosophy which has to be put in practice somehow later on. See, what a bhakta is told is, you take it on faith, God exists. Take it on faith. You begin with faith. You don't come to faith, you begin with faith. Unless you have faith, religion cannot start for you. You may struggle with it, you may have doubts once in a while, but as long as you have faith, you have religion. That's a devotee's approach, somebody who worships and loves God, and that's perfectly all right. And in the hope that one day, that person in this life or afterwards may get an experience. That's one devotee's approach. Let's take the Sankhya yogi's approach. The Sankhya yogi says, here is the horror movie of a world. It's a movie. The only way of getting out of it is to switch off the movie. Then you realize it's gone, it's not there. You're free of it. According to them, nature and consciousness, Prakriti and Purusha, are distinct entities, but they have become mixed up somehow. And the goal is to separate them. Sankhya and Yoga intend to separate Prakriti and Purusha. And Prakriti is real, out there. Somehow you have to step away from Prakriti. Then only you're free. Kaivalyam is separation from Prakriti. They propose something like, here is the horror movie going on, you switch it off, go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the world disappears from you. You remain in whatever pure consciousness state, the Purusha, the pure consciousness is. and you're free. What Advaita Vedanta tells you is, you don't have to switch off the movie. You can even enjoy the movie. You have to realize that it's a movie. To be free of the horror of the movie, all you need to do is not to switch off the movie. Then you have lost the joy of the movie also. You have to realize the distinction between the screen on which the movie is being played and the pictures themselves. The pictures play on a screen. They are not the screen. The screen alone is real. The light alone is real. The rest of it is just pictures. How do you do that? You must be able to distinguish between the pictures and the screen. How do you distinguish between them? You don't have to do anything physical. You have to recognize that they are distinct. What Advaita Vedanta is proposing, not faith, not even an yogic experience, but an appreciation of the difference between appearance and reality, which is right here. It's right here, right now. We are missing it. Look at this, the individuality which we have put upon pure consciousness. It's like somebody puts on a uniform and forgets that it's just a uniform. He can take it off. It was not there earlier, it's there now, it will not be there later. He forgets that. Now, what the yogi tells him is, the Sankhya and the yogi tells him is, you take it off and tear it to shreds, throw it away. It's not you, throw it away. And the Advaitin here is telling you, it's not you. Let it be, you can put it on. There's no problem, use it. Let it be there. You don't have to throw it away. It's a nice uniform. Enjoy it. Here is the world. Here is a body with sense organs and all. Here is a mind. You are not it. You are using it. You are channeling yourself through it. You are always, even at this moment, you are independent from it. You don't have to believe it. You can actually see it, that you are independent. Because they are so subtly mixed up with each other, it's difficult to appreciate the fact. At every moment, our thoughts and consciousness appear to be one unit. Vedanta tells us, every time there are two units. They're two different things. There was this Swami in Uttarakhand. He was giving a talk on Vedanta. It was a big Vedanta conference. And people were pundits and other Swamis were giving talks. And this Swami, who has passed away now, he was presiding over the conference. The president has a big problem. The president gets to speak at the end. So after a long conference full of Vedanta talks, people were bored and, they were ready to go home. And finally the presidential address, and he finds people getting up and going away, leaving. It's a big tent like they have in India. So people are getting up and leaving. And he stands up and says, I'm not going to give you any speech. I'll just show you Brahman. And those people are going away, they turn back and they come and sit down. Yeah, show us, this is what we are here for. And he takes off the scarf which he had on his shoulders, he shows it. What do you see? He says, we see a scarf, a piece of cloth. No. You see the light reflected of this piece of cloth which goes to your eyes. There's a distinction between the cloth itself and the light which illumines it. In the same way, consciousness illumines everything in your life. You are that consciousness. When? All the time. Right now. Before this, and after this, also after this. All the time you are that unchanging light of consciousness which illumines people coming and going, time passing, the body aging, thoughts welling up in our minds going to sleep, dreams coming up, dreamless blankness, the same consciousness illumines. And the body passing away and death coming, same consciousness illumines. Other worlds, newer bodies, other lives. The question about animals, I forgot to address that. Yes, animals too. Shankaracharya clearly mentions in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. All living creatures. Because in all living creatures, what is an animal after all? We can work it out according to the theory which we have got. Pure consciousness with a mind, a subtle body, and a gross body of an animal. That's an animal. It's the same pure consciousness. What we are is exactly there in the worm and in the cat and in the dog. Don't be insulted. Don't be insulted. Swami Vivekananda says, every worm is brother to the Nazarene. Avatar, the incarnation of God, Krishna, Rama, Jesus. And he says, the worm also is brother to the Nazarene. Why? Because the same pure consciousness shines through all of us. It's the same God which illumines all of us. Where the mind is absolutely restricted, unable to function because it's working through a tiny, insufficient body. That's an animal. But the animal cannot, you're right, the animal cannot get this, it cannot attend a Vedanta class. And it can attend it, but it will not realize it unless some special grace is there. So, okay. So, yes, that's the point I wanted to make about the animals. So that's what the Swami said. We are this infinite consciousness. All right, so we have exceeded our time today. Now we are moving towards the next part of the book, where they will take us in deeper and show us, now they have isolated the problem. The veiling power which does not let us know that we are pure consciousness. Inside and outside does not let us know this world is God. Now how do you overcome that veiling power? There is a yogic way of doing it, by shutting down the body and mind in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And there is an Advaitic way of doing it, by distinguishing pure consciousness from the body-mind, knowing that this is a uniform. Let the uniform be on, there's no problem. Is it possible? What is this sadhana called? This sadhana is called Vichara, Viveka, the Vichara Marga. This is the royal road to Brahmajnana. All the Upanishads speak of this as the path to Brahmajnana. What about meditation? What about devotion? What about worship? All of them are introduced later on as supplements to this. And Maya, of course, is afraid of this path, so it obscures this path first. And says, okay, you go and worship God, you meditate and you do this and you do that. Don't come here. If you come here, then Maya will project it as theory. Something to be done after this. Shankaracharya again and again does not tire of pointing out there is nothing to be done after this. Oh, your question. I'm taking time, I know, but there's a very important question. Who is the borrower? The answer was it's a teaching methodology. But you know, it's not an ordinary question. It's a very clear and profound question. When you listen to this long enough, if you have listened clearly and if you have understood it, this question will come up. In the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in a long commentary by Shankaracharya, when he explains all this, exactly this thing what we have been talking about, the person to whom he is explaining it raises this question. Who is the borrower then? Who is the one seeking liberation? You're Brahman. Who is the one seeking liberation then? Who is the one struggling here then? Who is that? And Shankaracharya's answer, I leave you today with it. It's very, very humorous and very significant. He says, why do you ask? Why do you ask? He says, because I don't know. Then he says, you are the one who's seeking liberation. You said you don't know. Who's the one who is in ignorance? Shankaracharya says, why do you ask? I ask because I don't know, I don't understand it. You are in ignorance, you have admitted it. Then this methodology is for you. If you go through this methodology, as Wittgenstein said, the whole purpose of philosophy is to show the fly the way out of the fly bottle. It's not to give a solution to the question, it's to dissolve the question itself, not to solve the question. That's what Advaita Vedanta does. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. You can talk anyway.
Om Sadashivasamarambhan Shankaracharya Madhyama Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Atha, Om Atha, Om Atha. Salutation to the feet of the earliest Guru known as Shiva and the Guru Parampara, the tradition of the Gurus, up to my own Guru. So, revered Srimad Swami Sarvadevanandaji Maharaj asked me to speak something on the Upanishads. I was just thinking what to do because Maharaj himself has been conducting according to a book, Sveta Upanishad Maharaj. So I don't want to disturb that study, but then I thought it is a great occasion that maybe for the last 20 years I did not have the chance to read the Upanishads in a very, very detailed way, like word for word meaning and the philosophy behind those words. So I have planned to just maybe read one mantra from the Isha Upanishad. And one thing is that the Isha Upanishad is called a mantra Upanishad. It occurs in the Shukla Yajurveda and it is Vajrasanaya Samhita. And since it occurs in the Samhita, so it is called Samhita Upanishad. And the text is in verse form, mantra form. So therefore it is called Mantra Upanishad. It has 18 mantras, of which the first one and from 4th to 8th, there are 5 here on 6. These 6 mantras deal directly with Atman, or that is the main subject matter of the Upanishads. The other mantras, they deal with different types of upasana or work, and also about a person asking for liberation. But the first mantra is really very important, and I thought let me try to remember what I actually read about that many years ago. And so first thing is that the word Upanishad, why it is so important, because this word itself means something special. It has got 2 prefixes, upa, ni, and shat is the root, and that is they call dhatu, the verb. So we start upa, ni and shat. We start from sat because the earlier 2, they qualify the last one. So sat means to remove, to cut asunder, but to remove, that is the good word, to remove our ignorance. That is the idea in the Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta. And then why should we, and what to remove? The ajnana, ignorance. And to remove it completely. Ni means nisheshena, completely, without leaving any trace of that. So that has been said in the Upanishads, like when someone realizes one's own real nature, then the ignorance is completely removed. Vidyate hridaya grantis chhidyante sarva samshayaha. So all the knots inside the heart or in the intellect, they are cut asunder. And all the doubts are completely vanished at that point when we realize that we are not the transitory reality, but we are Brahman. So our ignorance, has become like an obsession or maybe an addiction. So ni means you have to remove it completely without leaving any trace. So you have to work very hard, build up that type of habit. That is why all the sadhanas or the practices have been enjoined in the scriptures. Even in the non-dual Vedanta, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, they are nothing but practices, repeated practices. And then upa means that is near. The upa prefix means near. Near, sitting near a guru. So the guru tradition is very important in every field. If you want to learn anything, you have to learn it from a teacher, from a guide, from a coach. So it is like that. Guru is like a coach. And guru actually has a better word for that. But guru itself, the word itself has a lot of meaning. Another word which is used is called acharya. So acharya and guru, they are people who would show things how to do, and then one can learn it from their behavior, from like the yoga teacher. The yoga teacher will show yogasana, how it should be done, and when the final posture, the posture is achieved, then we can see that it is possible, it is doable. Even though in the beginning we can't do that, but we know that it is doable. That is the idea. So this is the word Upanishad, and it has got other meaning. We may come to that at the end if we have time. Now the first verse mantra of this Upanishad is Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitha Ma Grudha Kasyasvit Dhanam. Now, how the commentator go through this mantra word by word. So let us understand that. So Shankaracharya takes up the first word, Isha. Isha. Isha is in the instrumental case, that by it. So Isha is the word which means to control. And now we will go further into this. Shankaracharya says that Isha Ishte iti irtena Isha Ishita Paramatma Parameshwaras Paramatma Sarvasya. So he says that this Isha means Ishvara. Ishvara is not the creator God here. Because it is Upanishad, it would be speaking about Atman, Brahman, unity. So, Ishvara is not exactly the meaning of this. The meaning is Atman. So, Paramatma, it is the indwelling Atman, Sarvasya. Now he says, Shankara says that it is not the Paramatma dwelling inside one person, but it is the same Atman who dwells inside everybody. So if in the Bible there is a thing, Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven is within you. Jesus did not say that you means this one person. And he did not say that this is only one kingdom of heaven in one person, another type in another person, another 7 billion people are there will be 7 billion types of kingdoms of heaven. And so it is not like that. Exactly here the same idea, that in everyone, same Atman, and there is no differentiation between these Atmans. The Atman which lives in you is not different from the Atman which lives in me. Paramatma Sarvasya, he says. So this is the idea in the Upanishads, and when we can see that all are the same Atman, then that is the concept of Brahman. So The Atman I find in myself, that same Atman I can see in everywhere, in every being. So that is the meaning of this word Isha. Now how does it control? Sahi sarvam ishte sarva jantunam atmasan. So the word jantu means that which is born. Not only human beings, but all others which are created, which are born. It is the indwelling reality. So this is the word Isha, and by that, with this knowledge one has to do things, which is told afterwards. Vashyam, this is a word. Vashyam means has to be covered. You know, this is called vasa, gairika vasa. Vasa means it is a cloth which covers. So Vashyam has to be covered. That is the literal meaning. So Shankara says Vashyam in literal meaning is achadaniyam. It has to be. There is the idea that one has to do it. Has to be covered. Achadaniyam. So how to cover? How to cover myself, cover everything with the Atman. So you bring Atman, which is extraneous to this world, bring Atman from somewhere and put that Atman above all. This is a very funny idea. So Shankara says achadaniyam means actually anachadaniyam, means not to cover but to discover. Not to cover but to discover. So how to discover? So the idea is that Shankara is saying wonderful explanation or interpretation here. That yatha chandana aguru chandana, these are two types of wood which are very fragrant. So chandana aguru adi, when you put those pieces of wood in water for a long time, due to long disuse and long contact with water, what happens? A kind of moss and dirt will gather on that piece of fragrant wood. So what happens? They would take that wood out of water and smell. It gives bad smell. So Shankara says this bad smell is not exactly the natural smell of this wood. We know it is not possible. But so Shankara says, Opadhikam Daurgandhyam. It is something which is extraneous, which has been gathered on this, So, and since it has come, it is called agantuka, which was not there as part and parcel of this thing, but which has come upon it. So agantuka, which has come. So agantuka dosha, in logic they call it agantuka dosha. It is something, it is not its part and not its having its qualities. So this is called dosha. This is not guna. Guna means its quality, but dosha means it is not quality. So this has come upon it. So how to get back to the original fragrance of this wood? Then, so, Opadhikam Daurgandham Saswarupa Nigharsanena Achatyate. You go on rubbing it with something, and then slowly this dirt and moss that is gathered on it, that has got this bad smell, that will disappear. Then what will happen? This wood will be covered with fragrance. Sandalwood will be covered with sandal fragrance, aguru wood will be covered with aguru fragrance, like that. But this fragrance is its natural fragrance. Swarupa, not rupa. Rupa means appearance. But swarupa means that is the nature, that is natural to this wood. So when we rub it, rub means this is the idea of sadhana. We go on practicing that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not this, not this, not this. Then what happens? That is the idea of rubbing, practicing, giving this wonderful idea to the mind, so that the mind tries to get to the habit to know, to realize that it is not changeful. And this changefulness is not its means Atman's real nature. So this sadhana happens, so slowly we go on rubbing, and then the reality manifests. So that is the idea of manifestation of perfection. So when we go on rubbing on this, then what happens? This wood, which was smelling bad earlier, will give very good smell. That sandalwood smell will come. So that smell will cover the whole wood, as it were. It does not cover because it is the real nature. So that manifests only. But it was there within this wood, that is part and parcel of this wood. And since we removed this dosha or the dirt which gathered on this, then we are able to get that fragrance. And that fragrance covers this. So when ignorance is destroyed, what happens? The knowledge manifests itself. Well, so there are so many such examples that someone said that you are Brahman, we don't understand. So they give an example that 10 people crossed a river, and after going to the other side, they started counting if all of them have come to the other side of the river. And when they were counting, they were all counting 9, 9, 9. Where is the 10th person? Then someone, maybe a guru, that is the idea of guru, was passing by. And then this person came and saw, and they said, why are you crying? Now one of us has been lost in the river. So how many of you crossed the river? And 10. Then he counted, then he said, huh? He saw that there were 10. Then he understood the problem. Then he asked someone, now you count, let me see how many of you are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then the guru caught hold of the hand and said, you are the 10th. So you are keeping yourself aside. That happens actually. Even when we are thinking of non-dual Vedanta, that there is no ignorance, there is only Atman, and I am the witness of that Atman. I realize that the example of snake and rope, you see that they had to work so hard to logically bring home the idea that the rope is not Brahman, that is a rope. But you are being represented there as the rope. You, the person who is analyzing this mistake. So you say that I am see that there is a snake, but afterwards you discover a rope. Rope is Brahman. That is nonsense. Rope is not Brahman. You are Brahman. You have to put yourself there. That is me. I put the body and everything connected with that, those things as the snake. It is not there. Then who is there? You are there. So, but in non-dual Vedanta also this is a big problem if we understand non-duality intellectually. I understand that I am Brahman because I can see that I am Brahman. I am not this changeful world. No, you cannot see that. If there is no world, who sees whom? Kena kam pasyet, kena kam vijaniyat. Who will see whom and who will know whom? So therefore, this achhadaniyam, it covers the self with this Isha, means the divine qualities, the quality Satchitananda quality. Isha Vashyam idam sarvam. Now see, idam means that which you can point out as this. Sarvam, all, without exception. All should be covered with that Brahman. Because you will be, if you remove your ignorance, you will see there is nothing but Brahman. Actually speaking, non-dual Vedanta does not say that all is Brahman. Rather it says there is nothing but Brahman. There is nothing but Brahman, not all is Brahman. See, the problem is that monism and non-dualism. Non-dualism, no two. Monism is so many things are one. So you have so many things. There is one apple. How many apples do you have? Do you have 2 apples? No, 2. But if you cut this apple into 10 pieces, then you say that all the 10 pieces are the pieces of one and the same apple. This is the concept of monism. But non-dualism is there is no apple. So therefore, non-duality, Advaita, at the end does not say that all are Brahman or is Brahman. It says that there is nothing but Brahman, non-dual. So the sarvam, everything, whatever you can point out to be this, and inside this, everything. When that is removed, then everything is Brahman in essence. That is the idea. Ishavashyam idam sarvam. Yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Whatever has been moving in this world, they are all. But that is a sentence, a representative sentence, which actually tells that whatever exists in this world, we can say that this is there, this means existence. This is there, this is there, this is there. All is Brahman. So, Yat kincha, whatever is existing in this world, whatever is moving or non-moving, everything, every object. So these are to be covered with that Isha or Brahman or Atman, not covered. The ignorance about them will be removed. That is the idea. That these things are changeful existence, part and parcel of this world. So, no, not like that. These things, when we have the knowledge of oneness or Brahman, then we will see Brahman everywhere. We will not see them, the changeful part of it. That would be there. If I realize Brahman, this world will still continue to change, and I will also experience the change. But I will not see that this changefulness is the reality. That is the idea. Yatkincha jagatyan tena tyaktena bhunjitha. Therefore, now it comes to the path of knowledge, jnana yogam, jnana for the monks. Tena tyaktena. Therefore, by renouncing or giving up, you can really enjoy this world. That's what Swamiji told Ingersoll, and also that is the idea that Nivedita wrote, that to labor is to pay, to conquer is to renounce, to have and to hold is as stern a trust as to quit and avoid. So it is exact. Tena tyaktena bhungi. The more you quit, the bigger you become. There is a wonderful poem written by Rabindranath Tagore. So at the end of the day, when this man was evicted from his own homestead, he stood outside his own gate. Now this property belongs to somebody else who has taken it over. Now he does not have any place to go. Now see, it is a wonderful idea that when this man stands outside the gate and stands there, he has a great realization. He said, to what do I belong? I belong to this whole world. I belong to this whole world. Because I do not have any place to call it mine, call as mine. So I belong to the whole world. And the whole world belongs to me. So when tena tyaktena bhunjita, by having that attitude that nothing belongs to me, actually speaking, Sri Ramakrishna tells gives the example of fools. So between two brothers, they were dividing one piece of land. And when you divide a piece of land between two persons, say half and half, there would be always the scope for a better half. So they were quarreling. This part belongs to me. Then said, no, this part belongs to me. Now God laughs because none of these two fools has created this world. This is my creation, and they are trying to find ownership on that which does not belong to them. So, tena tyaktena bhunjita. Shankaracharya says, Magridha kasyasvid dhanam, na kasyasvid dhanam asti jad gridhyeta, swasya parasya va. We do not have any ownership on any property, whether it is mine or somebody else's. It is all created by a creator, it belongs to him. Therefore, the idea that it belongs to me, so that is a very small idea, it makes us very small. So ownership is one, kartritvam, bhoktritvam, these make us small. So therefore, it says, the Upanishad says, tena tyaktena bhunjita, if you want to enjoy this world fully, then you have to give up. Give up all these identification with whatever is changeful, whatever is not Brahman, whatever is not Satchit Ananda. Like Ma gridha kasvasit dhanam, na kasyachit dhanam asti yad gridhyeta. That is the idea that there is no property or wealth in this world that you can covet, because nothing is created by you. Nothing belongs to you because nothing is created by you. So that is why this mantra says like that you should not run after these things which are changeful. Now thing is that the whole thing, the whole meaning stands like this, that we have to practice non-dual sadhana, which will be told in many Upanishads later on, and here also in the verses from 4 to 8. You will see there all these things are said, and in this Upanishad we will find a very good introduction, so to say, to what is Brahman. A human language, as much as a human language can define it. That way it has been said there. But actually speaking, the words fail, because words are also very limited. So these two words which created all the words which I chanted in the beginning, in the prayer mantra, Om Atha, Om Atha. Om and Atha, these two are the words, representative words. And Om is the most representative word because it speaks about the whole system of our articulation of sound. A, U, Ma. A, U, Ma. Now, during that time, in the Vedic time, so many thousand years ago, they knew how the muscles, they touch each other, operate to produce different sounds. So these muscles, they could close pa, pa, ba, bha, ma, like that. So they have one place of pronunciation. So they understood this from here, and much later Leonardo da Vinci, their Vitruvian man, that picture is there. So he used to steal dead bodies from the grave and then cut through the throat and try to find out how the muscles work to produce this sound. So that much later, but here they have said Auma, and according to that, the alphabet in Sanskrit has been organized. You see, this is only one language which has got so much scientific organization of the language. The philologists, they are simply stunned to look at this, and it's at such distant point of time. And the whole Sanskrit language is controlled by 14 like algebraic formulas, 14 formulas. They are called Maheshwari Sutras. So now just to give an idea that, so all the vowels come first. O, A, E, like that, all the vowels come first in Sanskrit alphabet. Then all the consonants. The first vowel is A and first consonant is Ka. And Ka and last consonant is Ha. And A is the first vowel that controls all the consonants in Sanskrit grammar. In no other language it is so clear. Ka, kha, ga, ka, ga, gha, a. But if you look at the English, and just take for example, A is the vowel, keep it aside. It does not control the consonants. Like, so, B, it is B-I-B, not B-A. B, C, C-I-C, D, D-I-D, E, F, it was Phi actually, Phi. It became F. See, the corruption came. It changed. G, see again G-I-G, H, it was he. It was he. I, J, yacht in German, J, it was G. K, it was ki. L, li. Like that, all these things got changed. But in Sanskrit only you will see that all are controlled by A. Ka, kha, ga, gha. And all those letters are arranged serially according to their places of pronunciation inside this part of our mouth. So Om is the shortest representation of this whole system. Therefore, there is a verse which says that Omkarascha atha sabdascha dvau eto brahmana pura kantham hitva vinirgatto tasmat mangaliko ubhau. Om and Atha, these two words came out of the throat of the Creator. And naturally, kantham bhitva, he did not want to pronounce, but it got pronounced. That is why it is called unstruck sound, means the anahata. So, Om, Atha. So these two words the Creator used. So in the beginning there was the sound word, the word was with God. It is like that the word came out. And then it came out and then it took the form of Om and Atha. So this is the minimum representation of the whole gamut of our pronunciations and our speeches. So therefore, here in this Upanishad, the nearest interpretation or definition of Atman is given. And that with that the knowledge of that Atman has to spread all through whatever we can experience in this world, whatever we may not see also, seen, unseen, experienced and not experienced by everyone, but still there. So therefore, that verse also is, that mantra also is very wonderful. As I have some time, let me try to go through that. That is very important. That may be the 8th mantra. It is talking about that Atman, not Brahman, Atman. Because in non-dual Vedanta, Atman and Paramatman, Ekatvam, they appear to be separate, different, but at the end, when we realize, we will see that there are no two, there is only one. So that is what is called the idea of Brahman. Now, Sapariyagat. Now here you will be simply astonished to find how the people in such a distant point of time would be aware of so much of modern science and other knowledge. So it says that Saparyagat, that Atman, Paryagat, Pari Samantat Gatavan Paryagat. It goes all over everywhere. There is nothing left out. It just spreads everywhere. So because Atman is the underlying principle of the creation, that is the idea. Paryagat, Shukram means it is pure. It does not change. Akayam, it does not have a body. Asnaviragam, it does not have a subtle body. Shuddham, it is very pure. Apapa viddham, it is not tainted by that agantuka dosa or the dirt or any ignorance, whatever we may say. Not with that, it is so. Apapa viddham. So here Shankaracharya, wonderfully he interprets this word apapa viddham. So beautiful. Dharma adharmadi papa rahitam. Dharma and adharma. Dharma of the duty that we have to do, and adharma which are prohibited, both are papa. Papa means both bind with their phala, their results. The Thakur Sri Ramakrishna said in front of Mother Kali, so I offered, Ma, take your papa, take your punyam. Papam, punyam, all these things take. So both, because there is a wonderful story about in the life of Raja Maharaj, Swami Brahmanandaji, that once he was talking with young people and he was making a lot of fun. And people were, it was so funny that in time, people were rolling on the ground. Then the side-splitting laughter like that, they were rolling on the ground and laughing. And then some people came and then everybody became very serious. Then they were talking and one person said that, Maharaj said, you drink tea, yes. No tea. How tea is made like that? He made some fun. It is done like that. The color comes. It is nothing about tea, but he was just making fun. Then he said, Maharaj, somebody said, Maharaj, you are the spiritual child of Sri Ramakrishna. You are the president of the Ramakrishna order. And if you say that tea is made like this, then that will become true. But this is not true. So then Maharaj became very, very, very serious. He said, I am beyond papa and punna, truth and untruth, beyond that. So it is like that. Apapa viddham means dharma, adharma, adi, papa rahitam, papa varjitam, apapa viddham. Shuddham apapa viddham. So you cannot just use this type of dvandva, means the contradictory words in respect of Atman. Shuddham apapa viddham. Kavi means, kavi is a wonderful word. That in Sanskrit, kavi means that which has seen the end of the universe. It extends beyond that. It is like that, kavi, krantadarshi. Manishi, it actually controls our mind. Paribhu, it is above everything we can think of, and still beyond that it remains. Swayambhu, and it is its own creator. There is no who is the father of the Father in heaven? If you ask a question, it is an illogical question. So this, we have a Father in heaven, then if someone asks, who is the father of that Father in heaven? You cannot ask that, it has to stop there. The buck has to stop at one place. So here also, there Swayambhu, he has created himself, means he manifested himself, or that manifestation is felt by others. So it is Swayambhu, that Swayam eva bhavati. It exists by its own right. Now suppose whether I exist or not, we have to prove it. Whether there is a person called Swami Vaneshananda exists or not. Now 7 billion people on this face of the earth will say that we don't know that fellow. That does not eliminate my existence. Because I exist on my own right. And I am the proof of my existence. I don't need somebody else's approval for that. It is like that. Swam eva bhavati. It is existent by itself. Swayambhu. Yatha tathyato arthat vyadadhat sashvatibhya samabhya. And if we look at the creation, then we will see that Atman when you add this attribute to that Atman, that he is the creator, then we will see that yes, he has created everything. So, and since he has created everything, he is also controlling the actions, the results of actions of everyone. So this takes us to the idea of the law of karma in Hinduism, that generally speaking, in many of the Indian philosophies initially did not accept the concept of Ishvara, or the creator God. Even Sankhya philosophy, even now also it has Purusha and Prakriti, and that Purusha is not Ishvara. Purusha Vishesha Ishvara, not a creator Ishvara. So, but here Ishvara is that when I do some action and I die, then that time I have no power to take care of my actions, etc. So all these actions of good and bad, those things are deposited with the Creator. Creator may be having his own office to take care of the accounts of these things. But at the end of the day, when I am going to be reborn, then he has to give me my bag. And so that is how he distributes. The Creator himself is the maintainer of this creation, and he distributes. So that is a vidhata. Vidhata means they divides each person's back to that person. There is no confusion about that, no mistake happens. The exact person will get his or her bag. So that is when the creation has happened, then that Paramatman or Atman or that Brahman takes over this duty that it is his or her creation, and he or she has to take care of it, take care of everyone. So this way, this is the, in short, this is the idea of that definition of that Atman or Brahman. So these are two very important mantras in this Isha Upanishad. And then the second verse is about karma. Same thing has been told by Sri Krishna in the Gita, that everyone has to do karma. Whatever you may be doing, you close your eyes, sit there, that is also a mental karma work. So here also, if you want to lead a successful life and also useful life, then you should continue to work. Kurvan neveha karmani jiji viset satang samaha. If you want to live 100 years. See, the life expectancy used to be 100 years in those days, during Upanishadic days. So, if you want to live 100 years usefully, then you have to continue to do work. And that work has been divided in various parts afterwards in this Upanishad itself. So, the mere work with without any higher purpose for those actions or duties, and some works for God, some works for Prakriti, some works for the Creator Hiranyagarbha Karya Brahma. Like that, these are all parts of these dualistic ideas in the Upanishad. And then our wonderful part is there the dying person is now requesting the Sun God, that you open the path of light so that I can achieve my spiritual salvation and liberation. Because during the Vedic time, Gayatri Mantra is there. Gayatri Mantra is a prayer to Sun God. The Vedic time, those people knew that we belong to the solar system. And Sun is the sustainer of the solar system, as the Creator God is the sustainer of the creation. Sun is the sustainer of the solar system. Therefore, but they knew that since this is a changeful world, so therefore that is not the creator we are thinking of, that is not the spiritual creator or the Atman or Ishvara or anything. So therefore the Gayatri Mantra is a mantra, a prayer, and here that prayer has been more elaborately expressed here that you are dazzling us with your bright light, but just reduce that power so that we can see through you who is behind you. Who is behind you? We want to go to that. As we want to go to you as the physical sun, but there would be something which is behind you. I want to go and through this path of light, through you, to that reality, to reach that creator. But here the Upanishad is very much serious about telling us the word grace does not work here. Because it is Upanishad, it is talking about the self-effort. And therefore it says that when this person is praying to this effulgent reality, it says that you must open the path of light for me so that I can walk through. Because of the fact that I have earned it. I'm not asking you like a beggar, but I have Om Krato Smara, Kritam Smara, what I have done, just look at that. And because of that I am asking you, just open the gate for me. And then I will go through this. In the Bible, at one place it is said that narrow is the gate that leads to light, and wide is the gate that leads to destruction. And you will find many people walking that way. Because wide is the gate because the company has increased the size of the gate because of tremendous demand, that demand for destruction. So, but narrow is the gate that leads to light. So here also praying. But one wonderful thing I might share with you, we have a holy number which is known as 108. That has also a geographical basis. Somehow it is strikingly like that. I believe it is like this, but those who are mathematicians, they can calculate because it is some astronomical distances. So it is not my cup of tea. But the thing is that 108, if you square 108 and multiply that with the diameter of the earth, that is the distance between the earth and the sun. Since we are living in the earth and sun is our sustainer, we are in the solar system, and sun is our God, Gayatri is our mantra, we want to reach that sun, we just roll this earth and we calculate that it will be 108 squared. And so 108 is the holiest of number that we will reach there this way. So that may be the meaning of this 108. Otherwise also another meaning is that there would be 108 verses in the 10th mandala of Rig Veda which discusses the creation. So anyway, so this is how, see, those people, they were very serious about this spiritual quest. And as we know that our journey started with crude experimentations, but it evolved through the ages. And finally, we reached the culmination in non-dual Vedanta, where we found that infinity is one. And it is existent. It does not go out of existence any time. It is the foundation of all existences. And it is conscious existence. And it is blissful existence. So that is the concept of Brahman. So even those when we repeat the mantras in our prayer or in our meditation, the mantras given by the gurus, the meaning is exactly the same, Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. Sat is the existence, that is the representation of the Vedas. Chit is the power, Shakti, Chaitanyam, and Ananda is manifestation in any form, in any name, in any tradition. So it is like that. So The Upanishads are very, very useful in our life to contemplate and then to meditate on that. And that way we get nearer and nearer to our own self, and we are able to appreciate our own value in spite of all our smallness outside, in spite of our defects. We still can value ourselves if we start thinking this way. And you will see the sea change will happen in our outside behavior and inside understanding. That is a tremendous benefit if we go on contemplating on the mantras of the Upanishads. And so with this I will stop here. Thank you very much, and I just say pranam to Maharaj.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. It was a very nice summary of Shankara's interpretation of the Isha Upanishad. What struck me is that you analyzed mantras 1 and 8 primarily. There's one place where I think that you didn't follow Shankara. Bhunjita, in mantra 1, you interpret it as enjoy. Shankara says it's not enjoy, it's palaya, protect the Atman.
I did not say enjoy. Palayata means Bhunjita Palayata. He says that is connected with the Tyaktena. Not
Tena
Tyaktena, Tyagena. Nahi Tyakto Mitaputro va Vrityo va Atma Sambandhitaya Abhavat Atmanang Palayati Palayatha. Bhunjita means Palayata.
But you mentioned enjoy, Maharaj. That's more in line with Swamiji. In God and Everything, Swamiji interprets Bhunjita as enjoy. And Harshanandaji also wrote a commentary where he interprets it as enjoy. But Shankara says it's not, because of Panini's grammar, he says actually it should be enjoy, but here it means
Palayata.
protect, yes. But is there a reason why you didn't go for the protect as in?
Then I have to explain that. So that
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
That is connected with Tyaga. Wonderfully, that is why he says, Tyagena bhunjitya nahi tyakto mitaputro va vrityo va atma sambandhitaya abhavat atmanang palayati. Atha tyagena iti ayameva vedartha. Not tyaktena. Palayatha, bhunjita palayatha. He says. Yeah, that's right.
I had just a basic question. It's not. So from Vedanta and Bhakti, there's Vedanta and there's Bhakti movement. So can you just, what's the correlate? Is there a relation between these two? Is one evolving from the other, or which one do we adhere to or practice? Or
The thing is that Vedanta is a umbrella-like thing. The Bhakti school of Vedanta, so similarly non-dual school of Vedanta. So all the dual schools also they come under Vedanta. So whatever is available in the Vedantic text, at the end of the Vedas, and end also there are many interpretations about that. But Bhakti schools of Vedanta also, that comes under Vedanta.
Questions? No one? One?
We always know that Upanishad is the core of our spiritual life, or we want to understand the Upanishad. Upanishad is the experience of that realization. I am very moved that Swami has not read the verses and the commentaries. He said he have not read it for a long time. And he quoted everything from his mind and memory. That's a fantastic way. That is the way our ancient tradition goes on, memorizing, and so how wonderfully explaining that to the context of the modern time. It's a wonderful idea. So it's really, he has studied a scholarly way, and not only scholarly way, so much deep inside, so that to catch the right point of the Upanishadic ideas. So we are very thankful to Swami for being with us. Yesterday, Sunday, he has spoken here, and that was also good. Many of you missed it maybe. And today it was a sudden surprise, so it is a good, just extra, extra bonus for having this class. So thank you, Swami, for actually it really gives us great joy to think how the Upanishad is to be studied. The verse entering into it and deep into it and remembering it and contemplating on those. That's the Upanishad is Manana Grantha. It is the Sravana Manana Nididhyasana. So this is a process how to do that. We learn that way, that we go to deep and deep and deep in there. So anyhow, thank you, Swami. And then, as I said, the Swami will be leaving 5th morning. That is day after tomorrow. He will be in the Trabuco Monastery for the 4th of July program. And then next morning he will have to leave. So we are very thankful to him for coming and giving this gift of his wisdom and knowledge to us. And I will request him to come again when he can. Thank you, Swami. Jai Ma. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Shakti Dvayam Himayaya Vikshepa Rupakam Vikshepa Shaktir Lingadi Brahmandantam Jagat Srije